Hello to everyone. I hope that you can hear me well and you can see me. I think it's the right time to start already, so it's 4 o'clock my time. And just please confirm that you can hear me and they can see the video. Just write on the chat. There is a chat. Okay, cool. Very good. So let's start. Super cool. My name is Alex Vishnyakov. And this webinar, I'll be talking about business of internet provider. So I hope that all of you who connected today are related to internet providing industry. And I also hope that all the things that we'll be talking today and showing will be useful and you'll be able to use it in your practice. So let's start. First of all, if you can just check that the chat works fine, can you write me down where are you from? So we'll see from which countries there are participants today. South Africa, I saw Christophs from Ireland, Kenya, Nepal, Swaziland, Cyprus, Serbia. Oh, it's cool. Very good. You see from different parts of the world. There are 42 attendees now, and I think that it will grow because I had around 150 registrations. For whom this webinar is useful? This webinar is useful for every person who works in the ISP or owns ISP. For guys who are from Spanish-speaking countries, we will do similar webinar in Spanish language soon. So today everything is in English. I saw that there was a comment that if it will be translated to Spanish, no, it will not be translated. Today it's only English. What you will get from this webinar? The webinar will take around 1 hour. I will be talking and I will be showing you the use cases. I prepared 3 use cases for you. And the webinar, what you will get from it, I hope that you will get the understanding on which areas of your business you should to focus to grow fast. Let me explain who I am and let me tell you a few words about myself. So I'm a business owner from 2009. So I started business like 9 years ago. Before I was employee as a product manager, project manager in the telco companies and in the software development companies. Now I'm running Splink's billing software team with 25 employees. And also I have my business that I started 8 years ago. It's IPv4, IPv6 consultancies, BGP integrations. And I'm also the MikroTik trainer. So I train people how to build networks and use MikroTik inside their networks. My experience with MikroTiks and with the networking, I got from the Cisco courses, from the MikroTik courses, and from the practical experience. I built a large MPLS network. I was designing it and deploying the changes on MikroTik routers. So there are different platforms, but MikroTik was used a lot there in South Africa. And also I do the network core optimization, and one of use cases will be about the network core optimization. So I was always customer oriented in my business because we worked business to business with internet providers for 9 years already. Currently in Splinks, I have 25 employees, and this amount is growing. We have 300 customers using our platform right now. On a daily basis, they work with Splinks. And in the IP business, I have around 600 customers, and all internet providers are from 70 different countries. So this is my background, and I think that working with clients from different countries and different markets, I got the experience that I can share with you today. So I will talk today about the business growth, and that webinar is called How to Grow Fast and How to Become Successful, or How to Become Competitive with Large Operators. Almost all of you have an internet provider or work in the internet provider, in small internet provider or medium one. and you have to compete with large operators. And the main important thing for you is to grow fast and to focus on the business growth. But focus on the business growth, it's just a word, it's just a sentence. You should focus on the real and right things in your business. And when there is I don't know if there are some companies who are startuppers now who just started their business, and these companies, when they start, and when you have a small company and you just enter the market, that's the result where you go, and you think that will be your result. You will be successful. You will have the Porsche car. By the way, it's not mine. So it's the owner of the company where I worked, but he was the founder of internet provider, and he started his business from zero, grew to the large provider, which he finally sold it. But he was doing this business for 10 years, I think, continuously improving the things and focusing on the right things. So that was the result. And when the startups starts, they see the result, but they don't know on which areas they should focus. The common mistake of any small company that I see is the business is just a mess. It's like a lot of areas that I need to run and figure out how they work. I have to fix all of them immediately. This is important for me. This is important for me. And everything is important, and they don't really know what areas they should focus, because the focus is one of the most important things. You should choose few areas and improve them very well to be competitive, and then all other areas will also come and you will also work on them, but you must push your efforts on several things. And I often see when I'm approached by startup companies and they are starting to telling me, we need the integration with this accounting platform. We need the software that will do everything. And I said, okay, guys, but the business is not about the software. The business is about other things, and these other things we will discuss today in the first use case. And the second and third use case, we will talk about software, about the network. But the first one, I want you to think about what is really important for your company. Let's go further. So first of all, let's split a bit the business. So the business is not a mess. So it has different parts. So I can split it in two main areas, and then in each area I can have different parts. So let's do it quickly, just for your understanding, what I'll be talking about. As a developer, for me, it's easy to split the business between two parts, like a front end, what customers sees and what is really involved with the customers and on-site and on-field, and then the back end, what runs in my network, what runs in my office. So in the front end, of course, when you do the business, you have to do the marketing well. You must organize your pricing. You must organize your sales, how you process the orders of your clients, potential clients, and also how you approach your actively clients, business to business or business to customers. Then you need to organize your field work. You have installers, they have own cars, they drive to the location, they need to deploy the routers, the CPE devices, the fiber, and they must look well, they must be organized, they must know what they do, be professional, of course, the field work. And the network planning, you should plan your network correctly. And on the other side, there is a backend, which has a strong back office you should have. It's like a billing software, accounting software, planning software, the processes that you have, agreements with your suppliers, with your employees also. And then you have to build a stable network. Today, I will talk about three areas. The most important thing from the front end, and two these areas in the back end, about the strong back office and about the stable network. Today, use cases. So as I said, the first use case, we will try to focus on the real important thing for internet provider, is to understand what are your prices about. Are your prices correct? Are your customers able to buy this, or they can buy for more expensive, tariffs? And what is your return of investment? This is something what you must measure always. And I think this is one of the most important things. And then based on that values, how you plan your network. Are you planning your network efficiently? Are you setting up the access points in the right places where you have a high high pricing, where you receive back money very quickly. So this is the main focus of the startup company, that each startup internet provider should work on these values and have it in mind. And of course, for any established company, if they want to compete. And during the use case, I will show you 4 examples of 4 companies from the same country, but with different results. They work for a long time already on the market, let's say long, from 5 to 10 years, and their results are different. And we will try to understand why their results are different. And we will find out then they plan the network differently. They have different plans. They have different customers that they try to approach and that they are approaching. And we will compare them. And in this way, I hope that you will understand how this planning should be done and how it should not be done. So 4 companies from the same country, but different regions, different cities, but same environment, same market. Then the second use case will be about the back office. And that will be an example of how we deployed our platform. That will be short explanation, maybe 5 minutes it will take, what areas we covered with the Spring software and how we deployed it into the network of Fital network. It's a company in Spain. This is the gentleman who is on the photo there. And also we did, during this deployment, we also did the optimization of the core network for him. So here is the photo. This is my good customer from Spain. And you can see on the left, there is a Huawei GPON equipment and around 8 units of MikroTik, 10G switches, cloud core routers. So we built the very stable core network for him, which is able to process over 10 gigabit traffic. So, and that will be the last part of today's presentation. So if you will stay till the end, if you will not leave us, you will see that interesting part from technical perspective. I will show some MikroTik configurations. I will show you the topologies and explain what is there on that rack that I designed. Let's start. So first of all, as I said, we will talk about the front end. We will talk about the most important thing in each internet provider, which is the planning of your network, understanding your clients, and calculating of return of investment. So that's what I'm saying, understanding clients and the area, pricing, and then based on that, network planning. I have a question. You know what is the ARPU? So it's an average revenue per user. Do you know your average rate per user? And this is just a number that doesn't say much, because when I analyze ARPU, I do not analyze the ARPU for all customers from the network. I analyze the ARPU, for example, for fiber customers in one location, or for private customers on the Wi-Fi, or for corporate customers on the Wi-Fi. Then it makes sense. And then you will see ARPU is average revenue per user. This is very important value for you, because you can have 5 plans starting from $5 up to $50, but if 90% of your customers will be on the $5, then your ARPU is not even 25. It will be 6 or 7. And then important is, when you get this number, is to understand what is the cost to connect your client. The cost to connect the client is not easy to calculate. Then you must spend quite a lot of time on it. But when you track it, then you understand, then this customer who can pay me this amount is good to connect, and this customer is not good to connect. Why? Because if I connect customer number 1, I will return my investments in 2 months or 3 months. And if I connect the second customer with the same, let's say, conditions, but a different price, I will return my investments in 6 months or in 12 months. And the problem is here that other provider who will connect same customers, he will return the investments in 3 months. So you see, this return of investment is the category, or it's something what each provider should focus on and understand. So I'm deploying the tower. When I will get my money back? If this tower I connect, how many customers I need to connect to this tower to get the money back? So my question is, if you can write me to chat, who knows your return of investment? So who is working with that value? And in average, what do you think, how long it takes you to get back like investment to connect the client? Because we will analyze this value on the example, on the use case. So there is a silence in chat. Nobody wants to show me anything. Yeah. So come on, guys. We should really participate a bit. So that's not about my talking only. It will be also, I want you to participate and think about what I'm talking. So as I said, ARPU, this is the value that helps me to understand how much customers pay me. And then there is a return of investment. Each internet provider, many internet providers, they have installation cost. I agree. Installation cost can cover part of your cost to connect the client. But there are still plenty of costs that are not related directly just to install the device to the customer. So when you go to the customer, you take a CPE, you put the router, you put the cables. So that's your investment to connect the client. Also, do not forget that installers are there, and then you pay for 1 hour of 1 or 2 guys, or 2 hours, or 3 hours. I don't know how long this can take, this case, connect the client. So this is also investment to this customer. But also do not forget that access point that you bought and that you installed is also investment. And then if you connect 20 clients to this access point, then you should split between 20 clients this investment. Also, do not forget that you built a tower. And this tower is also your investment, and you must calculate this value. And based on that values, you can get the cost to connect a customer. So I was talking with my clients, and they told me, okay, look, we connect the client, and here is the 60 euro is the installation fee. And we install the CPE, which is 80 euro sometimes. Sometimes it's 60 euro. So we cover the installation cost. And then I ask him, okay, let's calculate another thing. So let's calculate what is your cost on the access points that customers are connected. What is the cost for the rental of the part of the tower? What is the cost of the backbone link? And then we found that, in fact, their price to connect the client was 50 euro. That was the price, the real price that cost the client to connect. And then we found that if customer pays them 20 euro, they have return of investment in 2.5 months, which is not bad, which is a good. But if customer pays 15, then it already takes longer. So this is what I think is very important for every provider to focus. And when I was working in the South African company, one of the main things that my directors during the planning of the network were talking about is when we will get money back. So they were talking, they were really like focused on that thing. And they said, will it be in 3 months? That's cool, then we can do it. Will it be in 4 months, in 6 months? That's not it. 1 year, we will not talk about that at all. You see, because that's very important. When you get back your money, you can invest them and grow again. You know, if you will not get it back quickly, then you are waiting and then you are not making the good moves into the market. So I see that. Let me read quickly the chat that we have. So there are people saying that they have installation cost, and yeah, there is a ARPU $40, which is not bad. Depends how much costs to connect the client. And yeah, there is a thank you for sharing this information with me. It's very interesting. Let's go through. Let's take a look on 4 companies working in the same region and analyze a bit their business. I'm not showing the names of the companies. I'm not even telling from which country they are. I even changed their local currency. I recalculated it to US dollars, and I'm not showing their revenues. They size is about 2,000 subscribers, let's say. But we will speak about growth, about ARPU, and about return of investment. And we will analyze how their business works and why one company works better and have better results than other company. So let's start with the first use case, pricing and network planning. which I think is the important part in the whole internet business, internet providing business. And 4 companies, same country, similar size and equipment, similar cities. So the size of the city is similar. So it's not big cities like 1 million, 2 million. No, it's smaller cities. Wireless, fiber, and voice services. And 3 companies are from 5 to 10 years on the market, and 1 is for 3 years. So it's a quite new company still. The first value that I figured out is their annual growth. And I saw that the company A had 49% growth per year, which is good, which is awesome. And they do not operate really in an emerging market when it really grows. And it's also not a stagnation. It's something between. So like the market is established, but there is still a place where you can grow. Because if you work in the Czech Republic market, in the Czech Republic, for example, there is a real tough situation for internet providers. They are pushing the prices down. We have over 1,000 providers here for 10 million people, and internet is not expensive. And now the only one way how they can compete with each other is putting the fiber. So when they put the fiber, then customer probably will not change and will not go to the large operator. But I'm not talking about this market right now. This market that I'm talking about is like a medium, so it still can grow, but it's not like emerging market like Africa, for example. No, it's not that. But here still we can see very good results of 4 companies here. 49% first one. Company B is also well established. It has 30% growth on the annual. Company C is the new company, and it has a growth of 35%. But this growth, I can tell you that is affected more by the fiber deployment. So it has a lot of new fiber customers, so they invested a lot of money to the fiber, and now they are getting back these investments. And we analyzed with them the values, and we also found out that this speed, how they get it back, is not ideal. And we will take a look on this company as well. And the 4th company has only 4% growth, and we will also analyze why they are not performing that well. Because as I'm saying, they work on the same market, selling the same products. Where is the difference? Of course, there is a difference probably in performance of each company, of employees, how they work, how they perform. But the main difference that we found was an approach in the building network and setting up the tariff plans and understanding that and getting the return of investment. So what is the ARPU? The first thing that we found immediately is the ARPU on the private users on the company A that is growing very fast, and the company B is very high. So it's like a $38, $39. And the company C is $20. Company D is $21. I will tell you now what is the reason. The reason is that company A and B have a network that allows them to provide higher speeds on the wireless. So I'm not talking about the fiber now. And company C and company D, they were not designing the network very well, and they connected plenty of clients on the one single access point, and then they cannot deliver higher speeds, and they have problems with the speeds and with the prices as well. But also you will see that company C and D started to deploy the fiber, but still their ARPU is the same. So how it looks with the corporates? With the corporates, company A is performing well, $144. Company B is even $207. Company C is $107, but company D, they have low prices even for corporates. Why they are doing it? We should ask them. Let's take a deep look on the company A. Company A, as I said, annual growth of 49%, so the best one. Wireless plans from 10 to 15 up to 20 megs to the private clients, and also same for corporate clients. But for corporate, the ARPU is higher, so they charge them higher. For corporate, they deploy point-to-point links, and their main focus is on the corporate segment, and they sell to corporates. They sell to companies, to small, medium enterprise. So it's not to large enterprises. So it's for small, medium enterprise companies, and they have very good return of investment, but still they do have high installation cost. So they deploy point-to-point links. They deploy horn antennas. They do the sell of equipment to customers. So they charge customers for connection cost, but also they are able to sell the equipment to customers because they work with the corporates, and the rules of the game are a bit different comparing to privates. And they have high RPU and they have high virus speed because of this, because as I said, they have point-to-point, they have correct approach to the network. So they are trying to find out how to build the network to be able to provide high speed starting from 10 megs, and they achieve it and they do it. So they have over, I don't know, 2,000 customers, probably something like that. And they are able to deliver it. So it is possible, but other companies are not doing that well. So let's take a look on the second company. Annual growth of 30%, very similar strategy, 10 to 30 megs wireless plans. They rather use more expensive equipment comparing to Ubiquiti and Mikrotik, but they, as I said again, they invest more to the infrastructure to connect the clients, but because of the high price, they have the same return of investment in month comparing to company D or C, but after returning the investment, they are getting 3 times more from this client. Even if return of investment will be 1 month more, still when they connect him, then from month number 4, it will grow and they will get 3 times more comparing to company D and company C. The only weak point on this business of this company is that they do not connect corporates. So what I can advise them is to hire a sales person who will work on B2B and try to approach corporates, because you see the company A can do the corporate, so this company B should also go the same direction. So what they do is a bit different approach comparing to company A, because they do private clients on high speeds on the rural zones and point to multipoint. So they do point to points, but mainly they have point to multipoint, some nice equipment with TDME technology. So like a Cambiums they use Infinet, a bit of Mikrotik they have, I think, and they do not use like the Ubiquiti, for example. Yeah, the Kristaps writes that on wireless return of investment of 1 month, and on FTTX resale it's 12 to 13 months. So yeah, the return of investment here, you see, I'm saying that the good return of investment in their case is around like 3-4 months, but their wireless is quite expensive. So their wireless is quite expensive, but because of high prices, they can return it back. So it's not in 1 month, in 2 months, but it's still not that bad. But then they're starting to get much more. Now, RPU is per month. So the RPU is better to count per month, because then you can work with the return of investment. And the best way to work with ARPU is on the received money. So this is what we do in Spring Software. We analyze the received payments per plan, and then we see, okay, this is the ARPU for this certain part of clients. Okay, this is not the clients who are connected, but the really clients who paid us in a certain period of time. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we can analyze it. So let's go further to the next company C. Annual growth of 35%, wireless plans. Here is the first weak point. The wireless plans, they have a lot of wireless clients. Now they started to deploy fiber a lot, but the wireless plans are from 3 to 10 megs. And the problem is that the price is quite low. And because of this, low price, which is below like $20, it can be $15. It means that their return of investment is same like of the company number 1 and number 2, but then they got less. This is the first problem. And also, they cannot change anything, because they say we have 50 customers on this point to multi-point access point already, and this access point doesn't allow us to sell 10 meg equipment. So the initial network, when they built the network, they built it in not nice way, in the way they didn't have in mind that one day they will have to connect customers on 10 megs, on 15 megs, and that was their first mistake during the wireless planning and during the wireless pricing, comparing to two companies from the first slides. The second mistake is that even when they started to deploy fiber, the prices on fiber are still quite low. And they say, why? What is the reason? Because we are afraid that people will not buy it, they say. But I thought, did you try it? And because competitors have low prices. I said, yeah, but you are on fiber. You have a fiber. And so what is it really needed to make your prices based on competition? Because two companies work in the similar cities and they also have same competition, but they are able to do this business. So the approach is different. So we can see that this company, they have on the fiber, they have a return of investment from 6 to 12 months. So if it's an enterprise, it's really quick when they can get back these payments, but this investments. But if it's just a client who is a physical client who is connected to the wireless, then they have around 12 months, 13 months investment on that. And comparing to the first two companies that even get more money from the wireless, they sell more expensive prices, tariffs, and comparing to the first company, this company C is not doing well, in fact. So as I said, the growth is based on the fiber investment. So they did investment and then they connected several hundreds of clients. When we analyzed it, we found out that in fact they had to set up higher prices on their fiber private plans and even for corporates. So they need to correct a bit approach. And then we have a fourth company that has only 4% annual growth. In fact, this is really not good because 4% of annual growth, it means almost nothing because you need to also increase your salaries. And now it depends on the country. There is inflation rate also. They have wireless plans 3 to 6 megs, and they are not able to provide higher because, again, of the same problem of the bad network planning, of the bad network designing from the beginning. And because if you want to have more access points and connect less customers on it, you must push your efforts to this area. So you must negotiate with people. You must approach the people. You must find the solutions. It's a lot of moves for the director, for the person who is planning that. Of course, it's easy to say, okay, I found the contact. I will deploy here several access points and connect as many clients as I can. It's an easy way, but then there is a result of this approach. And the second approach is really work hard on that network designing, network planning, negotiating where to deploy everything, calculating, and then achieve the network which can have, even on the wireless, I'm talking about wireless now, which can have higher speeds. And the fiber deployment, they have 28%, but on the fiber, they have still low prices for clients and even low prices for enterprises. So they do not have efforts in B2B, so they have few companies who pay them also low fees. What they need to do is they need to work on, I don't know, that's not easy, if they are already established and they have already prices to clients and clients are paying for it. At least for fiber deployments, they must change the pricing policy. And also they must put more efforts in B2B and redesign the wireless topology to have good, better ROI. So I think that their ROI is not 3 months, even lower here. It's like maybe 1-2 months, but still the prices are very low on their customers. And they're one of the issues that they have seasonal customers who come and leave in 3 months. And what they sell is the same price for the company, for this client, as for regular client on the contract, which is incorrect. I say, why you do this? If someone comes and say, I want to have 3 months of internet and then I leave, why you don't sell him like twice? Why I don't sell him instead of $20, sell him the plan for $40? Because for you, it's not good client. He pays you only half a year. So his ARPU per month is even not $20, but 10. So if you want to maintain at least $20, you must sell him the internet plan for like a prepay, but for $40, and then that will work. And they say, but clients will not buy it. I say, how they will not buy it? They will come to big operator, and the large operator will tell to the client, okay, we can give you $20 plan, but please sign the contract for 24 months. This is everywhere. And the large operators, they know very well how to do the business, and that's why they sign these contracts. The small operators try to compete, and sometimes they compete not well, and they are losing money. Like this case of the company D. So where is the difference? You see two same pets here, and four same internet providers, but different approach. So the approach is something what is really like is your strategy as the way of thinking of internet provider, of the director and owner of internet provider. And what I want you to think about, are you doing these things well? Maybe you also have similar problems that we just figured out, and you need to resolve them and analyze a bit and work in the ARPU, work in the return of investments. You have really clear numbers, because if you want to improve something and to make it better, first of all, you need to measure. If you measure it, then you can analyze. If you don't measure well, or if you measure incorrectly, then your analysis is useless. So first of all, you need to measure it. Measure these values, measure return of investment, analyze your approach, try to analyze your competitors, how they do. Then analyze your everything, how you do that. Maybe you can change something inside your business, and then do the change. So here is, as I said, the difference is in the mindset of these four providers. They all four do business in a different way. That's why I took them as an example. And which way is correct? Of course, the first way is correct, because they have 49% of the business growth. So if you will come to the offices of these companies, you will not see the difference. People are running, working, installing, but the differences result in their bank account. So that's the difference. And what I, again, would like to ask you is to think about it, and planning, pricing, ARPU, and return of investments. These are the key points for each internet provider that you should focus on. And then when you have solved these questions, or you are solving them correctly, you can concentrate and do improvements in other areas, like improvements in sales areas, improvements in the billing settings, improvements in your network, everything. But this one is crucial. This is the first point that I think the most important part. If you are a startup company, or if you are an established company, you can always ask someone to help you to understand these values and figure it out with you. So you can get a consultation, on there is a webinar.spling/consult. I will write it here to the chat right now. Webinar splings.com.consult. Yeah, I hope that is correct. So this link, you can go through on that link and schedule a call with me. I have a special rate for this for all webinar attendees. And this is not about consultation only about the things that we just talked about. It's the consultation about the whole your business. If you want to discuss with me some points, show me your network, ask me to analyze a bit your network and give you some advices, ask about the back office, ask about this things that we just discussed. You can do this. I have a lower rate, so I set the fee of $50 for a consultation, which will take around 1 hour up to 2 hours. So you can do this, and I can help you. Because you see here, when I stay on this tower, it's a Hillbrow Tower in Johannesburg. So guys from South Africa, you definitely must know this. So it's a Hillbrow Tower, the highest tower in South Africa, and it was the highest tower in the whole southern hemisphere for certain ages. And on this tower is 200 meters high. So I stay there and I see the small buildings. They are not small, they are high buildings, but they look small for me. And when I speak with internet providers, because as I said, because of my experience, and when I work with providers on a daily basis, I can see something what maybe they cannot see, because I have a view from outside. So I'm not involved in that business, but I know what this business is about. So guys, if you will need my help, just follow the link that I sent. And let's go to the next part, use case number 2. is the back office. The back office is something what is related how your company runs. You know, it must run smoothly, it must run very well, and everything should work as a Swiss watches. So that must really work well. Here, the use case is the Fitel network, the company from Spain. You see that they provide internet, fiber internet, mobile phones, voice over IP, Wi-Fi internet, so all the plans except TV. So they do not provide TV, but all other things they provide. And they approached us in summer this year to do, there is a question, the consult is possible in Spanish. Sí, por supuesto, yo hablo también español y puedo. So it's possible to do, yes, in Spanish as well. So then the network is based in Lloret de Mar. It's not far from Barcelona, and they were looking for a solution to have the back office organized. They had 2 billing platforms and they were not happy with how it works, so they asked us to implement Splinx, and they had clear requirements what they wanted. So the first requirement was to have managed tariff plans, the wireless, fiber, voice, with different prices, with including VAT, excluding VAT, and for different partners. Then they wanted to have a recurring and prepaid clients. So this is what we also can do in Splinx, because they are on the coast. Again, they have seasonal customers as well as the client that I was talking about. So this network also has a seasonal customers who come once per 3 months, once per half a year and stay, and they need to pay in the prepaid mode. And the payments that they want to process is direct debit to the bank, cash payments, PayPal, and bank transfers. Also, because they were growing fast, I think this company is maybe about just 2 years old, so they are not that old, but they grow very fast. They built a fiber network, wireless network, they grow fast, and they didn't have proper inventory tracking. So they were just buying, selling, reselling it to customers, installing, and they wanted to have inventory managed well in a simple way. They wanted to block non-payers. Then, of course, radius authentication, SNMP monitoring, and simple queuing for speed limitations. This is what they wanted. Email and SMS notifications. That's everything what we configured. In 1 month, we migrated everything, and system started to work. They started to learn how it works, and then we found some issues in the core network, and then they asked us to improve their network as the second phase of the project. But the first phase of the project was Splinx software. So let's make a small showtime. I will quickly show you how we deploy the things in their network. That will not take long, so maybe in 5 minutes I will do it. I will show you the Splinx, which is installed and which has like around 2,000 subscribers. You can see that the subscribers we imported there, we set up the tariff plans. As I said, in the tariff plans, they have internet plans, Wi-Fi, DSL, fiber plan. So they have the price with VAT, without VAT, and the speed defined there. Customers, they can see on each of these plans. Then they have voice services, they have mobile services and voice. They have voice over IP. And what Splinx does, we grab the files from their voice platform, CSV files, and process it once per month, and then we create one single invoice for a client. And there are IP static and this additional services. Yes, regarding the voice, we can do this. We can just grab the calls already rated, or we can apply the rates. We have a quite good voice billing platform inside the Splinx. So it's not doing the termination of voice or SIP server, nothing like that, but it can connect to the voice platform and grab the CSVs or grab the API through API information about the calls, and it can apply the rating as well. So that's what in their case, we are not applying the rating, we are just grabbing the calls already rated and then move the calls to each single customer. Then in the customers, as I said, we imported the clients, and the next step what we did was Just give me a second. I'll find the customer which I created just for test. It's Alex Cherry, because we are in Europe. We are not allowed to show the customer informations, IPs, anything like that, names, numbers. So that's why I'm just showing the test example of the client. Yeah, the English portal. This is the Spanish because they are in Spain. I don't want to change it. If I change the language, it will change for all administrators now. So it's currently it's a Spanish. But you can try that. You can check the demo. The demo is in English. So here, the customers, they have all invoices, services. So the services we define, and based on these services, we run the recurring billing or prepaid billing. So it's something what you have to charge in the recurring mode, or like charge the service is if it's a prepaid. And then when we generate the invoices, what we did for them, we did the customized. We did a custom PDF for them. So it's the PDF that looks exactly the same as the PDF from the previous system. So the clients will even didn't find that the difference. This is the invoices. When the invoices we create in Splinx, then, so this today they haven't created invoices yet, but when the invoices are created, there is a list with showing the status of how many invoices were paid, unpaid, and then regarding the payments. So the next requirement was to configure payments. We configure the payments. We have direct debit orders and Splinx. There are plenty of platforms that we already support: South African platforms, American platforms, Latin American platforms, Spanish platforms. So in this case, it's a Spanish called SEPA. It's for processing the banks. So I'm clicking the button. I can send all my invoices out to this platform to process the direct debit orders, or I can set up the auto charge filter. So it means that the invoices, when they are generated, will be charged physically immediately the same day or the next day. So it's like auto charging of clients. When we process the direct debit orders, of course, all the invoices are marked as paid. And yeah, there is a question: confirmation of invoice payments. Is it automated, or will back office have to click update? No, it's automated. So it depends on the direct debit order engine, but usually it's when we send the direct debit order, we know that the direct debit order went through the payment engine, and then it's automatically marks the payments, creates the payments, and marks invoices as paid. So this is regarding the direct debit order. Another thing is that you need sometimes to process the cash payments. In Splinx, we have a cash desk, so we can log into the additional window, and there is an administrator who can only accept payments, nothing more. The payment gateway PayPal is installed here, and other payment gateways we support as well. It's available on the website. And then we did also what sometimes is needed is to process the bank statements. To process the bank statements, grab the payments from it, compare with the invoices and find to which invoices it belongs. So Splinx has this in the list of bank payments. We have this option. So in the list of bank payments here, today it was nothing that was not processed, but if I open the last month, so to show me the processed files, so the files are uploaded, they can be uploaded automatically through FTP, for example, or API, or you can upload them CSV. So that's the payment we current this way. Yeah, there is a Paul. You see, there is a Paul Gerhardt. He's from the Fetal Network. So he said that I can switch the system to English quickly. Thank you. So let's do it now. So in the localization, I'll just choose the English and save it. Yeah, so it's in English now. And let's go to the next. What we have deployed is the inventory. The inventory is very simple in Splinx. And you know, the whole idea of our software is to make things in a simple way. So we are trying to not overcomplicate things. So the inventory is quite simple, but very efficient. So it means that I can track all the invoices when a supplier sells me the equipment. When I buy equipment from supplier, I can store information about to which invoice and to which supplier this current equipment belongs to. And that's I can do in the supplier. So in supplier, I define my suppliers, and then I upload my supplier invoices. And when I got the invoice, I can click on it and scan the barcodes from the invoice. For all equipment that I receive in one order, I can scan the barcodes. The barcodes are stored there in the item list. And then when I work with my items, then I do not have to look for that item, because it's when you have thousands of items, you will never work with typing something. No, of course, you just scan the barcode, and immediately it shows you the item, or one or two items. You can scan them with in the one step, and then you assign this equipment and send it out to certain customer. You can sell it to customer, then it would create the invoice, or you can rent it, then it will create the recurring service for the client. It can be the zero price if it's included in the installation cost and in the service, or you can rent it and charge additionally for that. So, and then you have the status of where and to which client this equipment belongs to. And then when you have a problem and customer complains that it's not working and you change the equipment, you immediately see, because it's linked to the invoice of the supplier, you can see to which supplier it belongs, and you can return it back. And then you see the history of all these moves of each single item. So that's the inventory that we also deployed here. And of course, in networking, the Splinks is a very powerful radius server. We have our own radius server that we write. It's based on the free radius, but the free radius works only as a daemon, and all other things are maintained by our own daemon, which can accept a lot of connections simultaneously, and is quite good. What we have here is there are customers connected to the routers routers are doing authentication of PPPoE with a radius server. We will take a look on that in the third use case when we will discuss the networking part. And there is just want to mention that here is also monitoring, which they deployed to see all the access points with the SNMP and ping. Very simple monitoring. If one access point is not reachable, or one device is not reachable, the administrator will get the notification on SMS or email. And then what I like in our software is IPv4 management, because I always, when I worked with the networks, that was a pain, to store my ranges and to understand to which customer I assigned this IP. And it was, I think, one of the first things that we did in Splinks was the IP address management. It's like and when I assign IP to client, or where it got it automatically from DHCP, it blocks it in the IP address management. So I can open the IPs and see to which client belongs which IP and to which router belongs it. Yeah. And then there is a very nice also feature that they're starting to use, is the network weather map, which can show you the throughput. So you define that, because you enter the SNMP values, you can define this points, and between each single point you will get the average speed on the link, and this is updated every 5 minutes. So it's like an average speed on the link between access point and on the backbone links, for example. Here it's between the core elements of the network, it shows. And yeah, that's all. I think that's all for regarding that, how we deployed the Splinks there. We can go to the part of the networking, because we deploy the Splinks. Splinks is working well. There are certain requirements from this client and from other clients as well that we will do, and we will bring in the beginning of next year. This is the scheduling. The scheduling is very important to schedule work of your installers and your technicians, and also the core network work. And then some kind of CRM where we can put the leads and track the leads. And that's what we are currently working on. We are working on also improvements on the ticketing platform to make it more user-friendly and sexy. So we are improving the UX. It already has the integration with emails, and now we are improving the UX. And we have defined how the scheduling should work and the CRM. And now we gave it to our development teams, and they started to work on it. So that will take some time, but I hope that in the beginning of 2019, in the first quarter, we'll have some better version of both things that we'll be able to deploy. This is something what is required often from our customers, and this is priority number one. We do not take that much custom development as we did in the past, so we are now focusing on our product and improving the product. these are the good news, I think, for all our existing customers and future customers as well. So I think we can continue to the next. Just, yeah, I'm just checking the chat if there are some questions. Yeah, service blocking is automating due to non-payment. Can the back office override the blocking? Yes, the back office can override the blocking, of course. And how does the field technician interact with the system? The field technician currently is just part of the administrators. And this is what we are really, what we lack now is what we do not have, this gap is the system of scheduling. What is our plan for voice billing? Voice billing, we are looking, now we deploying the voice billing on the one-to-one scenario. It means one-to-one customer more. We do we do deployment, so we connect the voice billing with some platforms. So already we connected with several, but it was always like a custom development. So if you have questions regarding the voice billing, I suggest to send the email to support@splink.com and my guys will answer it. Regarding, let's continue with that, and I will answer the questions after the webinar. So I want you to show still, because there are many people maybe waiting for the networking part, and I want to show you the networking part, and then I will answer the questions about the billing software. So let's go to the use case number 3, building the stable core network. When we started to deploy the software in the FETAL network, the owner of the company came to me and said, we have some issues with the network. And I said, what kind of issues it is? And he said, there are like problems with the routers, they are overloaded. And then I tried to understand what is their topology, how is that done? And because company grew very fast from the small company to medium-sized company, but their topology was designed in a simple way. And it was not able to cover that speeds that came with fiber deployments, especially. So what was the existing topology? The existing topology was everything is layer 2 terminated in one rack. This is very good thing, very good way to do the network if you know how to do that, to prevent your broadcast storms inside the network and fake rogue DHCPs and everything that. And then when you do this well, it's good to terminate it on 1 rack or 2 racks or 5 racks on some certain points where you can deploy a point of presence like a POP, and then you can put some equipment there which can be redundant and work well. So this is their case. The problem is that the equipment was not that redundant. The wireless UBNT, fiber GPON Huawei was connected to the Cloud Core router and another router which was below that. And the Cloud Core router was the main router which was doing the BGP, static routing, and also NET and the PPPoE. So that's the topology. That is how that was. And when the traffic grew from 500, 600, 700 megabits per second to 1.5 gig, this router started to make the issues. The main issue was something with overload, and they were not able to figure out what was wrong, and I was not able to figure out it during the first hour as well. But then we found that, let's say, once per day happens that around 4 p.m. several PPPoE sessions reconnected, and it caused the CPU jump from 30% of usage of the MikroTik to 100% for 10 minutes. And what does that mean? The routers, MikroTik routers, if they have over 80% CPU usage, CCR routers, I mean, they start to lose the packets on the processing, because nothing is hardware accelerated, everything is CPU based, CPU processed, and they start to lose the packets. And also, because it's 100%, then other PPPoE customers who reconnected were not able to reconnect back. And that was a big issue because it disconnected some corporate customers, and what they had to do is to restart the router. So if you have problems with the MikroTik router, the best solution is to restart it. As often people say, and that's what they did. The problem is that it's not the solution. It's not suitable for further growth. and there were no redundancy for it. So we decided to help to the company and to redesign that. How we did it, or what is the solution? Solution for that is to take out the cloud core router and place the chassis. This is example of Cisco chassis, 1006, for example. Or there's a Juniper, for example. You can buy the MX Juniper, which can also be like that. What are advantages of this solution? This is something what the big players use. They have enough money to buy it. It's very expensive. You can talk about $100,000, for example. So it's quite expensive. And it depends what is inside this chassis as well. The chassis is just a box, but what you install inside, this depends. And this makes the price, and also you need the software for that. And you know how Cisco sells it. They just sell you the box, and then they say, no, to doing MPLS, you need to buy this license. For doing the firewall, you need this license. For doing NAT, this license is even not enough. You need to buy the hardware card. And you say, oh, money, my God, how is this amount is growing of money? And you thought that it will cost you this amount, and then immediately you have this larger, 2 or 3 times more price. What is the advantage of this chassis is that it's managed by one operating system. You know, I have different cards that I deploy, install. It can be the NAT card, it can be some kind of firewall, and it can be, you know, multiple cards with the interfaces, fiber interfaces, whatever. And everything is managed by one OS. So it's like a one box for you. So you log in there, run your commands, manage everything. It's modular, so it means that you can disable the module that you don't need, just remove it and install the new one. It has this chassis has even redundant operation system. So if one fails, there is another running on the background that can take everything. And there is a redundant forwarding and control. So if you install different routing engines, so if one routing engine is not working, something happens there, the second takes control of all forwarding, even without, in Cisco, they have very strong technology there, even without losing the connections, packets, anything. That's the second just takes control on the forwarding plane. So the only one problem of it is that it's not for small or medium-sized companies. So it's for large operators, for large enterprises, if you want to deploy something like that. Yes, some companies, medium-sized, can afford it, but then it means that return of investment that we spoke about in the first use case will grow in the month, because when you take this equipment and install it, or few these units, that will increase the cost of connection of one client as a final result. There is another option for small internet providers. For small, medium-sized internet providers, as I said, the most important thing is to grow fast, to compete with the large players. And how we can achieve it? We can use the MikroTik software and hardware. MikroTik chassis, I call it. So I built a MikroTik chassis, I think, with 8 units. The disadvantage is, comparing to Cisco, is that one part is one operation system. So if I have a switch, so it's one switch with its own switch OS or router OS. If it's a router, it's a one router. Second router is a second router operation system. I have to manage all of them. The other thing is that there is no hardware redundancy, so I must do the hot redundancy on layer 2, layer 3. So I must design it this way that if one router will fail, if one PPP router will fail, customers will connect to other routers. If one BGP router will fail, the traffic will go through the other router. So it's like layer 2, layer 3 redundancy that is possible to configure. And then I always use, and I recommend you to use code redundancy that I call. It's when you have a switch of MikroTik, like for example, here above, there is a picture where is the switch 10G. So if this switch dies, what happens? All your links completely are down. So you must have at least one unit of the same switch with pre-installed already configuration, and then you will just take out your cables and install it there. So I do it everywhere where I can. So if I have a cloud core router terminating 1,000 customers, so rather I have always like close to this or somewhere in my office, whatever, I have another router that is already configured for that, or I can just move the configuration there quickly. Better is to have it on site and then just replace in case of failure. And that, unfortunately, in MikroTik, these failures happens, and they happen, and not often maybe, but happen. And we had a large network in South Africa. I was working, there were plenty of MikroTik routers, and sometimes one just gave some issue and sometimes another starting to give you the issue. And sometimes it's easy to find out what is wrong, but sometimes not. And when not, it's better always to have the second code redundancy, I call it. The advantage of MikroTik router is that it's easy to maintain and learn, and it's easy to find engineer or consultant comparing to Cisco, and it will not be that expensive. So if you will find the CCIE guy, that will cost you quite a lot. Of course, depends from which country he is. So there are countries where even CCIEs doesn't cost you that much, but then you must have contacts to them and you must find them. What I see is that find someone who understands MikroTik is better, easier, and then also he can learn quickly, even if he doesn't have this amount of knowledge. It's when you build your company, you must have redundant people also. So if you have one engineer who understands the FreeBSD and who understands the Junipers and who knows how to build own kernel on FreeBSD optimized for 10G traffic, which is possible to do. But if he leaves your company and then you must do it, how you will do it? So that's why when I also was working in the provider, one of the decisions I was thinking about, let's build an MPLS on Cisco. It's very reliable. It's expensive. Or rather, let's do it on Juniper. It's not that expensive, but we can do it. We can put the P routers, provider routers everywhere, provider edge routers on it. That means investments, but it's very stable. But also, then I had to think about, but I need to teach all the guys managing this and how long time that will take, because I will be the only one who will be able to manage that. And then in MikroTik case, what I'm glad to say is that this entry level to the MikroTik technologies, MikroTik is quite easy to do, just comparing to the Cisco, comparing to the Junipers, and people can learn the new things on it. And I'm a MikroTik trainer. I like to train people networking on the MikroTik Winbox and the MikroTik boxes. It's very, very nice to understand, very useful for people, very easy to learn, even about the MPLS and BGP and traffic engineering. Yeah, that's the photo of the MikroTik chassis. You see, let me explain quickly what we have there. Look, there are 3 routers below. There are PPPoE routers. Currently, there are 2 routers PPPoE, but it's designed to have a third one. All PPPoE routers are connected to the switch above, which is called Reserva here. So it's a principal. So these 2 switches, one of them is working, second one is now in the code redundancy. And this is the core switch, which connects the BGP router and the uplinks and everything. So that's the switch, the core switch, I call it. And before that, so maybe I started from the PPPoE. I had to tell from where customers come to the network. So customers, they are connected from the wireless, and they are connected from the Huawei, from the GPON, and these links from the towers, from the Huawei, they are put to the first level, to the distribution switch. So I think that here, yeah, that's the topology. So you see, everything goes first. All the clients, they are aggregated on the layer 2. It comes up to distribution switch. The distribution switch is switch which you can see here. So that's the switch with multiple G ports, gigabit ports on the copper, and 4 10G ports that connect to PPPoE routers. So it means that customers are connecting on the layer 2 in the many cables. They are connected to this distribution switch. And then this distribution switch connects 3, or it can connect up to 4 PPPoE servers. So it means that all traffic goes through the VLANs. I use VLANs everywhere. So it goes through the VLANs up to PPPoE routers, where PPPoE sessions are terminated. if there is this like a static route, there's one link to one VLAN which ends on the one router, but mainly there are all PPPoE sessions. What is the advantage of this approach is that if one router will not answer on the PPPoE requests, if it will die, all other routers will answer, and they are on the same VLANs as the customers, all these routers. So it means like it's a broadcast domain, and it means that the first router who is answering got the connection. And what I see is that is more or less load balance between routers. If I want to load balance in PPPoE settings of the router, I can set up the timeout that it should wait to answering to the request. I will show it in the example, and then I can get more PPPoE sessions on one router and less on the second one and the third one. So that's the way how to terminate the traffic and PPPoE sessions in multiple routers. And when these routers, so I terminate the PPPoE sessions there, what next? I must send this traffic somewhere out. And we have there are two routers. One is the BGP and the second is NAT, because there are two providers. One is working with the BGP connection and the public IPs, and the second is the old provider that they had and they didn't want to remove him, but that was only doing the NAT and only a few IPs were available. So we had to load balance between these routers somehow. And also the main issue in this, or the main like challenge, is how the BGP or the NAT router will know from which PPPoE router customer comes. And for that, we deploy the OSPF between the BGP and between the PPPoE and between the NAT. So there are two OSPF running on that. I think it's two areas, or even it's maybe in one area running everything, but it runs there. And this is the way how BGP router can, and the NAT router can reach the customers, can reach them to the certain PPPoE. I will show this configuration now. And that's the full design, and that's this design how it works. And I'm saying, if the router BGP will not work, I'm still able to send the traffic through the NAT everywhere. So at least customers will not lose the connection. So probably customers with public IPs will start to complain that their services that are sitting inside my network are not answering, but mainly all other customers will not feel the difference. They will just go through the NAT through that second router. Of course, the best way is to have two BGP routers, but it's maybe will be the next step when we'll have more internet providers. Now there are two internet providers, and you see that here also my uplinks are coming to the same core switch. So they are not coming directly to the BGP or to the NAT router, they are coming to the switch. The one reason why is that Cloud Core MikroTik doesn't have, as I'm correct, it doesn't have more than 2 ports SFP plus for 10G, because we are talking here about traffic of 2 gigabit per second, for example. And yeah, the question is, where is the Spring server in the topology? The Spring server is just connected into the small router, which is linked directly to the BGP. So it's like here, I think to this router, there is a one cable that comes to Spring server. So Spring server just stays on the certain IP that is reachable for all equipment. And that's where the Splinx is. So Splinx is not performing any packet forwarding, anything. It's just a pure radius authentication, setting up the speed limits on the routers and blocking the clients. So this is what it does, and also monitoring. But it stays. It's not involved in the topology. Let's take a look on the configuration a bit and some important points and useful things during the configuration. BGP best practice. As you remember, I told you during the first slide, when I was showing the first slide, that I'm still working as an IPv4 AS number consultant. So I help people to get own IP address space, IPv4 space, to get own autonomous system number and to deploy the BGP. Still, we do it. So if you are interested, you can contact me to get this service. And because I'm doing that for 9 years, and I did a lot of configurations on BGP, and I did I connect the different providers to the exchange points, to other providers. I design the load balancing, whatever. So I have some BGP best practice that you can work in MikroTik as well. So there are a few of them. Let's start with the BGP router. I will share now my screen with the Winbox. So I'll connect to the BGP router of Vito network. I hope that that will work. Here it is. And now I will share my screen. Yeah, there is a question if the webinar will be available for download. Yes, it will be available. It will be on the YouTube and Facebook. So you will get this video and the presentation and everything. Look, here we have the BGP router. The first thing that you should see is this one, is the VLAN. So as I said, there is one PPPoE router on the VLAN 503 and the second PPPoE router on the VLAN 504. How do I know to which PPPoE router I have to send the traffic to which one customer connects? Because he can connect to one and to second one, and I have no idea. So I know it because of the OSPF that I told you. And in my IP route, I have the OSPF routes, and OSPF routes are /32. /32 means one IP address. Advantage of this approach is that I'm not wasting my IP address space. So we see plenty of public IPs in the OSPF network, plenty of private IPs. So that's the first step. And regarding the BGP configuration, this BGP router also works as the net. So for some customers, we route to this BGP router and we do the net. You will be surprised how many people run the net rules, the masquerade rule, on the core router or on the main router. Please do not do that. If you want to do the net, there is an action which is called source net. And this is the correct way how to do net on the MikroTik routers that are not installed on the customer side. So if you install the customer CPE, then you can do the masquerade. What does the masquerade? It just sends the traffic out with the first available IP, which is an interface. But if you do the same, if you have thousands of clients that are netting, or even 200 clients that you have on the net, and then you do the masquerade rule, you say everything what goes from this source IP out to the internet, I do masquerade. So it hides everything with one IP. And what happens there is that Netflix will block you. And the Google will start also showing you some proxy messages. You know, that's not good. Why to do that? Of course, you should use SourceNet. So I'm not saying that everyone does it, but I saw it many times in many different networks. And the worst thing is to do the masquerade rule, everything to everything I do masquerade. So that I also saw these rules, and this is something that doesn't work. And it's masquerading everything, and you have no clue what is done inside the network. Here, the right way, SourceNet, I do the SourceNet, and then I do the action to addresses. So it means that for certain network that goes out to the internet, I apply the pool of IPs. So it goes out with the pool of IPs, not with one IP, but with the 16 IPs, 20 IPs, and then there is not so many connections from one IP, and the Netflix will not block us. The Netflix is one service that is used a lot now in today's world, and is blocking this. This is what I really saw, that the Netflix is blocking our IPs. Okay, so this is the first thing, not related to BGP, just related to NET and MikroTik in general. To the BGP, let's open the routing BGP. Here I have the remote AS number, it's my peer. First of all, the best way is to peer on the private IPs and to have MD5, so your BGP session should be secure. The second thing is do not do any redistribution. So when you have here in the instances, redistribution, do not do that, because if you do redistribution, it will push all available routes that are connected or static, it will push it out to your peer, and you have to filter them. The next step is, okay, if you do not do redistribution, announce your network from the network statement. So go to the network and go network, synchronization should be always no. When we have this, we have to define the filters, and the filters always must be So you cannot do the BGP without filtering. So this is very simple config. With the filtering, I accept from my internet provider default route, and I send out my network to internet provider, and everything else I'm not accepting and not sending. So these are the filters that you have to configure. And then when you do this, the main thing for you to understand when you do deploy the BGP is, do you really need the full view table from your internet provider? I saw that many people doesn't know what is the difference. I tell you that no, you don't need the default view. Why do you need the default view? Default view you need in the case if you have, for example, 3 providers, and you need to, what is the default view? It means it's the full view. It's the full view of the BGP table. It's like 600,000 prefixes of all internet prefixes. And when you do the BGP peering with your provider, many providers sends you this table, and then you can do whatever you want on the tables, filters and whatever. So when to work with the full view? The full view work only in the case when you have, for example, 3 providers, and you want to load balance your outgoing traffic, the traffic that leaves your network, and you want to load balance it this way, that half of traffic that is for, let's say, international traffic you send to the provider 1, national traffic you send to provider 2, and then exchange traffic you send to provider 3. But this is traffic that really you send out, and then you need to manage also how it returns back, and that's tricky, that's not easy. But in this way, I'm saying in this setup, it's useful to have the full view table. Then you can apply the rules, then you can apply the filters according to AS path, according to the AS numbers, IP addresses, you can do that. If you are the provider and you have 2 links, and you want one link to be the backup and the second link to be the primary one, you don't need that full view at all. You need just default routes and then set up the BGP correctly. If you will need to get advice on how to define your BGP, again, use the link that I sent before, and just book a session with me, and I will analyze your BGP design, and I will show you how to improve that. So that's regarding the BGP. So when we have the BGP configured, you can see that this router, the main intention of my work, the main goal of my work in this design topology was to split the load between different routers. So I said, if I cannot buy this chassis, have it hardware accelerated and split between different parts of it, I will build the virtual chassis, I will build the chassis on MikroTik, and then each part of this MikroTik chassis will be responsible just for certain tasks. So if I have a BGP, then I do not do some kind of filtering on it, I mean the IP firewall rules or whatever. I do the BGP and NET on it. So if I have a PPPoE routers, and that's the next slide, I do the PPPoE and simple queuing, nothing more. So let's go quickly to the PPPoE and check what we have there. So there is a second one. Yes, let me share the screen. Here it is. The router on PPPoE, as I said, when the router customers are connected there, then all information is sent to the OSPF. So we have routing OSPF, and in OSPF, I have redistribution of connected routes. So this is one interface that is now running the OSPF. And then in instances, I say that redistribute connected routes. So I'm redistributing everything what is connected and then sending it out to my OSPF partners, OSPF neighbors. So this OSPF, also in that router, it's not, the setup was not that easy. Of course, then they came and said, okay, Alex, this is well, but we have customers that we do not want them to have an OSPF. We have a different routing. Can we exclude some ranges from being propagated to the OSPF? I said, yes, we can, because if we have the redistribution, we can apply filters on it. So this is important if you want to work with filters on OSPF. It works only for the external routes for the redistribution, so it doesn't work for internal. So if you have like internal area routes, like extra area routes, these routes, I think filters do not work in MikroTik. It works only on the redistribution. So that's what I did in the routing filters, and I set up the filtering, and I just allow certain networks to be advertised to the OSPF and others not. So that's what I did here. I use the filters, and also there is a policy-based routing involved. What is the policy-based routing? In the routers, I have defined that if customers have the routing marked BGP, they should leave through this default gateway. So it's like a separate table. So it's a source-based routing. So I analyze where comes the traffic from, and I say if it comes from this network, it should be sent to this gateway. If it comes from different network, it should be sent to the other. And in MikroTik, it's easy to configure with the rules. With the IP route rules, I can set up which, for example, this one comes from the network, public network, from the interface V151, and I apply the mark for it, BGP. And then I can do this policy-based routing. So that's how we achieved that everything works as was expected. And I'm pretty sure that customer is satisfied now. Now the network is much stable. We had in peaks like around 2 gigabit, over 1.5 gigabit traffic there. And everything is working fine. The usage, the CPU usage of each single router is not high. So it was before, it was 30%. Now we can see that it's like 10%. So this really means that even 10G or over 10G can flow through this topology that we designed and deployed. Okay, the next, let's just take a look on the last slides. So I said the BGP practice, I do use VLANs everywhere. We use MikroTik switches. These MikroTik 10G switches work well. I had no issues with them yet. They are not expensive. I read that they are on the quite good chipset. So, and this 10G, I think it has like a 16 ports 10G. It works well as a core switch. As I said, we just had to put the second one above it to have the code redundancy. And yeah, that's the description of what I was talking about. The PPPoE, we have the VLAN, tag traffic distribution core switches. All switches are MikroTik, and I didn't configure it in the router OS. It's configured in the switch OS. I don't know why, but I like switch OS more in the switching. And then applying OSPF filters, policy-based routing, and NAT we put on the border and dedicated routers. And how redundancy is done is that, as I said, because we have 2 or 3 PPPoE servers, if one server will die and all PPPoE sessions will reconnect, they will reconnect to other routers that are still alive because they are in the same broadcast domain. So these routers will reestablish the connections with the clients. There are layer 3 redundancy because we have OSPF and we can design the layer 3 redundancy. Huawei to Cloud Core is connected through, I think, 4 ports, 4G ports. It's possible to build, they didn't have the module of 10 gigabit on the Huawei, they had the 1 gigabit, so we used 4 ports and connected them all to the switch with the VLANs. And it means that if one port will fail, still traffic will go through other ports. And we do not use LACP, we do not use the port channel, this other channel, port bonding, it's called in MikroTik. We do not use it because I always had, I don't know why, but in my practice, I always had some issues with that when MikroTik was connected to other vendors. When we had it on the wireless links, it was a disaster, so that we completely removed that from the wireless links because of the different type of, no, on the wireless, it didn't work well at all, that LACP, but even on that Huawei, I found that it was not that stable. Maybe you have different experience with that, but I do not trust much the LACP when I connect different vendors. So that's why I prefer to not use it, and still it's working even without that, so it works well. But what they have to do, they have to migrate to the 10G ports. Switch code redundancy, as I said, and the IP space optimal usage is achieved because of the topology and the OSPF and redistribution that is used inside that design. Thank you for your time. I hope it was quick, informative, and again, if you think that it will be very useful for you to talk to me one-to-one, I'm sending you again that link to the book consultancy with me. So book consultation here. There's the webinar, splinks.com. When you book there, my sales department will send you the perform invoice for $50, and then we will schedule, after payment, we will schedule the call with you, and I will be dedicated for 1 up to 2 hours to your case, and we will talk about your case and your questions. It can be from the first use case, first area that we discussed, from the second, from the Splinks itself, or from the third, or just in general, because I can share some of my thoughts and experience with you. Let's now go forward to the questions. So I have plenty of questions here in the chat and in the questions and answers. So I will stop sharing my screen for now. So the questions that we have here are, and the chat also, multiple CPE per customers. Coffee is asking me. Yes, it's also in plan. We had in plan to improve the CPE management, but then we were analyzing the requests from our customers, and we found that the scheduling is the higher priority for now. So now we are pushing scheduling and the CRM forward. The CPE will be improved also during the next year. This is something what we have in mind to make the CPE management better. So, and let me bring here the chat to this window. And so, any plans for provisioning through SDN? I have some plans, but I will not tell you them. It's also related to the, not yet, but we are exploring, we are working on the direction of software-defined networks as well. So that will be, I hope it will be also in our portfolio next years. How do you plan the IP settings of the core network and the client's network? No, I have my own approach. How do I plan it? That's a good question. I always try to split it. So first of all, I set up the core network is running on certain ranges. Also, then I have, like, if we have a core network with 10 towers, let's say, then I also try to, so first of all, the core itself has its own ranges, but also each tower has the range that is used there for management, and then also for customers. It depends. It depends on the topology of the network, and I used a lot splitting IPs between the management IPs and the client IPs. So the client IPs always had a different pool than the management IP. So even the equipment of client we put on the management IP. We had the VLAN for management IP, and then we had the IPs that they received through the tunnels or PPPoE, whatever, and then they used it for connect to the network. But it's a question of, it's a good question. If you will want me to analyze your addressing plan, I recommend you to have a call with me, and then I will check your existing IP plan. It must be simple. So that's what is the most important. I saw that people are overcomplicating it. So they are putting that a lot of different sub networks, and then they are lost. So that's what I want you to ask us to make it simple. Yeah. Any plans for? Yes, we have plans to have an IP address management for IPv6, native IPv6, and I'm pushing it forward. That people are asking us, let's say every month. The question by Malvin is, in my experience on the wireless, roughly how many clients can you optimally add to sector, Ubiquiti AirMax or Cambium ePMP? The problem of all this is again, it's your approach. What do you want to achieve? If you are building the network with 3 meg plans, 2 meg plans, then you can put plenty of clients to this access points. No, but you must, so if I put my AirMax, I must always have in mind that if it's like a noisy equipment also, so a noisy environment, it can have, for example, 50 megs or 60 megs or 70 megs. So how many clients I can put there? I can put 10 customers if I sell them the 5, 6, 10 meg plans, or if I sell cheap 2 meg plans. I'm talking about the Europe. Okay, in Africa, still the 2 meg plan can be expensive. But if I'm talking about the Europe, so then it was the exact case of the first example, when the providers, some providers, they do not put a lot of customers on one access point, and then they got higher speeds, and some of them they put a lot of them. So I saw that AirMax with 60 customers also, 50 customers, 60 customers, but the problem is that clients will not get high speeds on it. From my experience, the coffee is asking me, from your experience, how stable is MikroTik MPLS core network, especially for VPLS to aggregate PPPoEs? The MPLS network on MikroTik is quite stable on VPLS. So if you use a VRF, it's not that stable. And especially if you use the VRF, it is not well used for traffic engineering. So the VPLS design is stable on MikroTik, and I saw designs with thousands of subscribers running on MPLS, VPLS of MikroTik. I know people who do it. One, my good friend from France, he runs the network, and it works. And he told me that he was trying to work with the Junipers, and he lost a lot of money on that. And the Junipers were not doing this job, and MikroTik was. So the VPLS on MikroTik is good. VRF is not good. Layer 3 VPNs are not good. I can explain you there. I have I have a video presentation, and I have if you can find on the YouTube the presentation that I did on one MikroTik event in Prague. I was presenting how we built MPLS networks and why what you have to be how you have to design the network, where you can find the bad and weak points on MikroTik. So that's, you can find it on YouTube. So if you type the YouTube, my name, you will see this. It's my name, and if you type my name and MPLS, it will show you this presentation where I'm explaining how this is the CRS able to handle QNQ? Good question. I didn't write. I think yes. All MikroTiks are able to handle QNQ. I think it should work. It should work with the QNQ without any issues. Even the routers can handle QNQ, so it means, I think, yes. Okay, let's, I have also another, which is the questions. Do you offer online trainings for MikroTiks? We do not offer it yet, because the main issue with online is that it's not authorized by MikroTik. So the MikroTik doesn't allow me to do the training and issue the certificate for you. So that's why MikroTik are pushing their trainers to do it offline, to do it on site. But what we can do the, like, it's not, we can do unofficial MikroTik trainings. So if you want to cover some area, I can dedicate my network engineer, or I can do it myself, depends on the topics, and he can teach your guys or you he can give you this online course, but it's not certified by MikroTik, so we will not get the certification. That's only, but we can do it online. We can provide it. We can show you how to configure the devices, optimize a bit your setup, and also explain you some technologies online. The only one thing is that it's not authorized, that it's not that it's not like you will not get certification for that. So the another question is, does Splynx support authentication IPOE? Yes, Splynx supports everything what has a radius authentication. So if your equipment supports the radius, the end termination, so then it can do whatever you have. It doesn't matter on the technology. It can be DHCP, it can be 802.1.x, it can be the PPPoE, PPTP, whatever. So that's possible to achieve, that's possible to do. And we have different providers, not only the wireless, but also DSL providers, also fiber providers, VSAT operators, many different types of providers are using Splynx and are using our radius. Okay. Yeah, that's you're asking because the business clients do not want the PPPoE connection. Coffee, I think we have to discuss it because I know you are our customer already. So we have to discuss it then. Just take a look what is your equipment, what it supports, and connect it to Splynx. Yeah. So I'm still checking if there is something on. Yeah, there is a chat questions. Let me ask quickly. Let me check quickly the also chat questions because this I was answering the. Is Splynx able to handle IPTV billing? The billing itself, it's able to handle. We have even certain custom projects for customers when we did the integration with IPTV platform, but we are not. We do not have any native integration that is available for everyone. So it is able to handle the IPTV billing in general, but it's not. If you just install the Splynx and you want to connect it to some IPTV platform, it doesn't work. It doesn't have it. So we did this as a custom project. We did this integrations with some platforms, and then it can. Our customers have. One of our customers is a large TV operator in Serbia, and they manage this way IPTV subscriptions. So they manage the channels. So when they click the button, Splynx activates the channels for our clients. Yeah, so will you be doing a video on the radius proxy feature on your Splynx platform? Yes, I think we will make set of videos on the radius because we did a lot of improvements in the radius now. It's quite advanced. It allows a lot of things to do with that. So I think we'll have to do the video for how Splynx radius can be configured and for which tasks. So it will be very technical description. Okay, so let me check the chat. Okay. The partner feature in Splynx. So yeah, the nice comment is, Alex, please have a look on the datatil.com. There are some nice stuff in there. Yeah, I already saw it many times. You know, we migrate some customers from Datatil to our platform. So they show me what they have. I think that they are not bad. So they do their job well, competing with us. I respect all our competitors that we have. I like something that they have and we don't have, and something what we have, they don't have. So that's always in this business. Yeah, but thank you for advice. And another question. What is the maximum plans that you have seen for wireless, and do they work stable? Also, what equipment is used on the AP side? The maximum speeds average maximum speeds, what I see is around 10 megs, 15 megs. Is it work well? Yes, it depends if the zone is really very with a lot of interference or not. And it works well. So it works well. What is the equipment? Infinet. If you know the Infinet company, that's what I saw. Or Infitel, Infinet. That's not sure. Infinet or Infitel, one of these names. They are Russian guys selling from Cyprus, I think. Infinet, yes. So this one, Cambiums. Yeah, Malta. Okay, they are Russians, come on. I spoke with them. They're from Yekaterinburg, I think. Yeah, but yeah, this good equipment. Redwin is awesome, but very expensive. So Redwin point to multi-point, they have super cool TDMA own technology, but very expensive. But if we talk about, MikroTik Ubiquiti, this is everything is low cost. I consider, you know, that if you have ability to buy Cambiums, to work on Cambiums, if you work with Infinet, with Redwin, then of course with your wireless level will be much, and the plans will be better and stable. And especially this also expensive equipment work well on the high interference areas. I remember we deployed the Redwins in the super high interference area, and that worked well. Yeah, they are expensive, but again, if you set your prices well, then you can get it back. So you see, the example was that some of my clients can do the Infinet deployments, and they got the links back, the money back. Yeah, the Christoph says that if Redwin can really deliver 50 megabits per customer in Ireland, easy can sell up €50 per month. Yeah, RF elements. I like RF elements, the horn idea, and yes, of course. So this is something that can bring you the difference in your network. Is someone using horns in the network? Can you type it in the chat? What do you think? Is good for short distance and high density? Yes. Yeah. So that's the feedback. Christoph's expensive. Christoph's, what is expensive? The horns or this the Redwin? The Redwins are terrible expensive. They are bloody expensive. It's better to put fiber if we have option. Yeah. So where's my mouse here? Let me check if there are some unanswered questions still. So we just bought Splinks and we would like to integrate payment like Visa cards. Any support team on this? First of all, if you buy Splinks, we always give you the person who will deploy with you. So now we have 3 support engineers, I mean sales engineers who help with deployments. And also there are support guys. So if you send us the questions to support, there are support guys who will answer you. There are 4 people answering on tickets always. So that's their daily job. And then we have 3 guys who do the deployment with you. So if you just bought the Splinks or you are buying the Splinks, you will have a person, for example, it will be Vladimir, or it will be Roberto. Roberto speaks Spanish, or is speaking Spanish speaking. And we do this deployment with you. So he will create a checklist. And if you need the Visa, for example, integration, we have around 15, I think, payment gateways that support Visa processing and the MasterCard processing. It depends. You can, because you know, there are like a PayPal, there is a Braintree, there is a Stripe, Authorize.net, that American companies, but they do not work in South Africa. It's not good. They are expensive there. They do not work in Australia, because in Australia we have IntegraPay, for example. It's a different platform. In South Africa, we have PayFast and SagePay for working with the cards. In Spain, these platforms work well. In Europe also they work, but there are certain countries. In Kenya, it will not work. In Kenya, we have M-Pesa payments. So you know that's you have to speak with my guys who are deployment engineers. And please, if there are some customers of Splinks right now watching this video, if you have bought the Splinks, you were contacted by the sales engineer. And please stay in touch with the sales engineer. He sends you the links where you can book a time with him to have a calls. Give him as much information as possible about your network and the business and what you want to deploy, and he will help you to do this, to achieve the results, to configure it well, as we did with the FITEL network. So we did it in the FITEL, like in 1 month, we configured them completely everything, and then all parts of Splinks are working now. If the Jose Morcillo asks, if I have a MikroTik configured and I install Splinks, does it have the ability to import all the configuration? We have import, if you have MikroTik with the PPPoE sessions manually, there we have scripts that can export the data to Splinks, and then you can, when you export it, we can import it to Splinks. So there is a way. We have scripts for it, so just ask us to do that for you. When we can expect IP Manager for IPv6 like it is on IPv4? Very difficult to say, because I told you when you can expect the first versions of scheduling and CRM that we are working on. IPv6 is on the high priority as well. I will push, if you know our company, there is my partner Ruslan. He is responsible for this. I will push him with the IPv6, and I'm pushing him always. So I hope that it will be soon as well. Yeah, you see that many people are asking for IPv6 already. Have you deployed IPv6 in your network? Someone here? Yes. Partially IPv6. No IPv6 yet. Yeah, Christoph says that he can make a pressure on Ruslan himself. So please do it to deploy the IPv6. And Andrew is asking if any payment in Uganda that is configured. I think Safari, how is that called? Safari Pay. It's the gateway that is supported also in Uganda. But I'm not sure about that. Just if you can, please send the question to support@splinks.com and to send you back the list of the payment gateways. Is it possible to make another M-Pesa for DRC? The M-Pesa you have is the Kenyan version. If we will have a customer in DRC and we will see that this is worthwhile and this is interesting for us, we can do the M-Pesa for DRC. Why not? Why not? So Mohammed, you should write me more details about that. Who will use it? Yeah, PesaPal and M-Pesa we have currently. Mm-hmm. There is another question that comes from the Facebook. Is what is my experience with Mimosa 5 GHz point-to-multipoint? I think that when I left the company, internet provider, we just started to deploy Mimosa. It was working well, but I do not have the results. So if someone is using it, guys, please write on the chat. I'm pretty sure that maybe there are guys also from the company that I worked for. I see Brom is there. So the Brom is my colleague from the Skywire where I worked. Is it? Yeah, there is one guy also. It's bad. Mimosa 5 GHz point-to-multipoint. People are saying it's not good. Okay, it's not my opinion. I have no good experience with that and any experience with that at all. So if someone has experience, please type it on chat. It will be interesting to hear. Yeah, Muhammad says that it's expensive, but super extended channels. Kevin says that the Mimosa is not good, 5 GHz, just 11 GHz. So who is not reading the chat can, I'm just reading this. The question from the Facebook: will FTP for CDR files become a feature? Yes, this is the feature. It's not a custom dev. It will be available, I think, like really soon, maybe in 1 month. That I know that we have it in the list, and the connecting to FTP and grabbing from FTP, it will be the default feature in version 2.3 that will be launched. That should be launched till the end of this year. So the connecting to FTP should be there, if I'm not mistaken. So, but this is something what you will not have to pay for it. So what we charge for is integration with on APIs, for example. So we have some really like good integrations, let's say very deep integrations with API with several platforms, like a Porta billing. You know, for example, we have the Porta billing integration. We can grab the APIs from there. And then we can grab from API the calls and then put the calls to the customers. So this we can do. But with FTP will be default. Yeah. Wi-Fi portal for hotspot vouchers will be a feature. Wi-Fi portal for hotspot access will be a feature in 2.3 because we already created own landing page that can be pushed to the MikroTik routers. And so we are just testing it. So it should work 100%. So I want to have it in 2.3. So it means that you can upload our landing page and the client will see the Splinks registration or Splinks login, and that will be the single login to the network. So it's like a Wi-Fi portal. It's a landing. It's not a landing page. How is that called? It's like a Wi-Fi login page. Captive portal it's called. Yeah, captive portal. Yeah, do you have experience with Meraki? I saw Meraki deployed. I never deployed it myself, but I saw it. It's very well for like I saw it deployed for internal or large hotspot network, even not hotspot, but a corporate web network, which you can manage, like deployment. And if you have warehouses and inside these warehouses, you can, and offices, so that I saw how Meraki can work with a cloud thing, cloud management of everything. Yes, it was super good, but I don't know if they produce something for the broadband for point-to-point, point-to-multipoint. Is the Wi-Fi captive portal able to use a voucher-based login? I think it should be able to use everything. So it will be able to authenticate the customer if he has the regular account or if he has a hotspot account. It's for Splinks, it's same. It's just username and password. So it should do the both. So I think so we had 60 attendees on this webinar, and now there are 41 attendees. It's 2 hours already. I thought that we'll do it in 1 hour and a half. So I will just, again, guys, I'll send you the link to to the website where you can book the time with me. And this is, yeah, you can use it again to schedule with me and to request my time. So here's the question. I deployed Meraki in 3 hotels. David says, worked great at first. Then after 3 years, the first licenses were up to renewal and they all decided to go to Unify. Too much features are not needed and then it gets very expensive. Yeah, that's a bit, you know, the Meraki and all this cloud-based wireless stuff, they are more for enterprise level. So you can see that there is a completely different market from ISP market. So we work on the ISP market, and these are more products. Yeah, the Meraki was bought by Cisco, and there are plenty others. I don't remember the names even, like 5 vendors. They do this cloud platforms with the management of Wi-Fi access points for companies, for large enterprises, and they have super high prices for that, super expensive comparing to Unify. And then they have super cool features on that, and that's the problem that that you can have is that you do not all the features. What is the scheduling feature you are talking about? There is the question. The scheduling is the feature when you plan the work of your installers. So the calendar, shared calendar of your installers, you can plan the work, you plan the travel where they go, it's integrated with a map, you do the tasks. So that's the schedule feature what I was talking about. Is Splinks fully compatible with a MikroTik hotspot? Yes, it is. So it works with a hotspot. Just depends what kind of customers you authenticate through the hotspot. For us, the hotspot is just a type of authentication. So it can be the GHCP, PPPoE, IPoE, PPTP. It can be static IPs even, and it can be hotspot. So hotspot for us is considered as just the authentication method. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for comment. People are asking me to consider add some layer 7 management with the MikroTiks. Good, I have it already in my notes, in the product development notes, in the improving of CPE management. There is there already. So just need the time. So we are hiring new developers because we are growing quite fast. So we are still hiring new people. As I said, now we have like 25 employees, and I hope that we will get 50 soon, and then we'll be able to deliver sooner the releases and nice and useful features. Yeah, the question, did you optimize the cache desk? No, the cache desk is still in the version 1.0, but there will be 2 improvements. It will provide a bit more information to the administrator, not only adding the payment, but also it will show which service will have the customer and what is the price of the service that he pays for. So it will be a bit improved. So we will optimize it a bit. Any plans for TR69? No plans for TR69, I mean in the development level. Plans in the product level, yes, we have. I want to have a TR69 because we have the already integration with Huawei OLT, so we can configure the OLT, and then what we need to do is we need to configure also the ONT devices, and that's TR69 will be used for. So we were analyzing which platform we can use for it, which technology we can use for it. We already found, and I need to speak with my developers in what stage it is, but it was not the high priority. As I'm saying now, highest priority for us is to improve the ticketing, to do the scheduling, and to add the CRM. So these are the things. If we will have a free developer who will be able to start with the TR69, we will put TR69 and CPE management there. So these are our development plans. Yeah, the one thing, if you will have, soon we will launch the new platform for adding the feedbacks, for getting feedbacks from the clients. We will send you the link to this platform, and you will be able to vote for the features. Because, you know, now we were gathering all the feature requests on the forum, and what we are changing to the platform that is paid, and we will use it for our needs and needs of our customers. It will have certain feature description and the votes. So, and based on that votes, we will consider if it is good or not. So that I will send it to everyone soon. Now my support guys are moving from feature requests that are from forum. They're analyzing and putting them to this platform. And I will send it soon, maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. I will send it to all our customers and potential customers asking for feedback, and then you can vote for the features. So that's what you are asking me about the features. So what I recommend you wait a bit, receive this access to platform, and then write your own feature request or vote for existing feature requests. Yeah. So thank you very much, guys, for your time. I hope that this webinar was useful for everyone who attended. And in case of any questions, splinks.com, support.splinks.com, alex@splinks.com, or the form that I sent to the link. Just contact me, ask me whatever you want, whatever you need, and we'll help you to improve your network, your business. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening. I don't know which time zone you are. It's 6 p.m. already here. And goodbye.